it's your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. We are zooming in and focusing in on a narcissistic personality disordered individual and how they have a negative sense of self, and how what you're interacting with is more of an illusory persona, facade, or superficial put together crafting of a personality with whom you are in a relationship with, and why they oftentimes are committophobic, not able to be accountable, responsible, and really kind of be real. It's not to say that these people don't have their value, aren't valuable people in society. I mean, we're not here to judge. What I'm here to describe and help you to understand is that the narcissist will put an undue amount of attention on a false persona, on a mask, an outer shell, a public self, if you will, and with which they feel is important for them to survive. So they take refuge, they take comfort, they take shelter in a sort of persona, which is very much incongruent with the person that is inside. The person inside, which means their true feelings, oftentimes are very painful. Oftentimes are really based on insecurity, or what a lot of psychologists will call a lack of ego. So contrary to most people's thoughts, are that these people have such a huge ego that they're always talking, this about themselves and talking this about others and slamming people down and putting themselves up, and they're always right. And there's something, wrong with you and inherently flawed, and you need to be this way, and they're trying to pressure you to be a certain way. It's not to say that they aren't positive, because oftentimes, pleasing people and being able to serve is very key and important to life. You have to be able to meet the needs of others. You have to be able to relate to others in a way that is beneficial and valuable. So it's not to say that, narcissists, there isn't healthy narcissism and a healthy sense of self. What really is going on with the narcissist is there's a deep-seated, which means deeply held in place, and oftentimes subconscious, pushed down, muddled down. And when people say, "Well, what do you mean peace and harmony?" When you say pushed down, it means it's repressed. It's not acknowledged. It's not open to the world. It's something that you will oftentimes see come out when are in a real relationship with someone. When they are in a close, intimate relationship, you'll see this sort of, immature or childlike, very, very needy person inside. So they're really not able to be autonomous and independent in a lot of ways. There's a real neediness with which they have, which oftentimes is based on an insecurity that they don't want anybody to see. So it's kind of like someone who needs to go to the doctor, but they don't want to go. They're afraid. They don't want to trust this person. They don't want anyone else to be responsible. They don't want to get anybody else in the mix, because it makes them feel insecure if they have to go and trust somebody, or think that somebody else might have knowledge that can assist them, or technique, or that really requires true self-care. And a narcissist oftentimes will live a pathological lie. In other words, they'll do a lot of lying. They'll do a lot of acting. They'll do a lot of putting up a wall or a front. And there's healthy narcissism, and then there's unhealthy narcissism. Unhealthy narcissism takes place when someone is really living a lie and betraying of themselves and becoming very dysfunctional in relationships, where they're, not supportive or positive of others. In other words, they resort to a lot of anger, hostility, lying, pathological drug taking, drinking, gambling, these sort of lifestyles that are based on these compulsions, and exploitative of others and stringing people along just to satisfy their needs, and they're really, ignoring of others. So there's a real invalidation that takes place. So if you're able to understand narcissism in this way, once you are with them long enough, you'll get to see that they really, are going to oftentimes bring out the worst of others, because they're not able to validate the positive side. And so people, go around feeling like that they trust this narcissist negative evaluation of them, and that's why they're having, this dysfunction in their life. And oftentimes people then come out of these narcissistic relationships with these huge wounds and deep wounds on many layers, almost like an onion. So, if you have been around these people, realize, that this is oftentimes, cannot be resolved with this person. So you can't always resolve the hurt with that person who hurt you. You can't come to an understanding. You can't come to a closure. It has to be done. You have to do the work on your own and really get to validating yourself and healing yourself. And furthermore, reevaluating what you need and how you should be participating in relationships, what you should really be bringing to the table, and how you should be able to define your boundaries in a relationship so that you're not overgiving of yourself to others and losing yourself in a relationship, because you need to be able to have a self to come back to even in a relationship. So oftentimes that's the lesson learned, is I talk in part of my recovery journal, is you have to really know what your lessons learned are and learn your lessons. In other words, I don't need to over obligate. I don't need to diminish myself. I don't need to feel a negative, get into this negative lifestyle or a negative pattern with this person. That there are actually people we can have a positive relationship and have a actual true building where, values are discussed, feelings are discussed. This person gets me, I get them. There aren't these games played where, you have to do this for me, you have to give this to me, all these conditions. It becomes very complicated, and eventually it breaks down. Eventually it implodes on itself. So, it's very, it's important to realize that there's going to be a different feel that you bring into the next relationship, and really begin to work on that independently on your own. So you might need to be on your own for quite a bit of time in order to build up that security within that remains with you. You have to be consistent. You have to have consistent, healthy feelings, consistent, healthy self-talk on top of those feelings, and really make that part of really your new mindset and attitude that you bring into the relationship. So life is a journey when it comes to really kind of healing through this. So begin to learn the lessons that you have been given from this relationship. Learn the lessons and kind of begin to emerge and build on the positivity and the positive feelings moving forward, rather than going around these narcissists that re-trigger and re-wound you. Get into a sort of confidence where you can build and feel that confidence, and don't feel ashamed or guilty for feeling positive, because oftentimes that was the mindset that was instilled in you by a narcissist individual, that there's something wrong with you for feeling positive about yourself. That is actually the lesson that is learned that you need to carry into that next relationship. It's peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.